The joke that I mentioned to my friends is that I wonder if I'm too woke to be dating. Um,
So what are you looking for like clarity on right now?
um, I that's a good question. I mean, I think it's kind of like two things. And one is, and also something I'm like trying to work through in therapy is like, how can I how can I show up as my whole self and remember to like be confident in that? Um, but then also like, how can I have a better attitude around dating?
Mm-hmm.
Because right now it's kind of just like, oh, like I'm not really that excited. I'll give you some recent events. Coming into this year, I actually had a lot of travel planned up until mid-February. Went to Cambodia, Belize, and then climbed Kilimanjaro. Came back from Kilimanjaro, said I really want to be more intentional about dating. That means actually meeting up with people, not just chatting with them through apps. Met a really nice guy, and we went on a couple dates, and then he sent me a text that said, "Hey, I really like you, but I think that we're too different in our daily lives." And, I'm not really sure what that means, but I have a lot of narratives going on in my head around, maybe it's hard because I, I do work in the social justice disability space. I do work in spaces where we are forced to confront privilege, where we are having those conversations a lot. Um, the joke that I mentioned to my friends is that I wonder if I'm too woke to be dating. Um, but also kind of receiving that text was like, what is it about me that is making it hard for people to meet me where I am? And I think every single time I put myself into one of these, like, oh, I'm really excited about these guys situations, it does take a little bit of time to kind of like re-heal and re-emerge back into that space.
You're like 100% open and vulnerable. And like, this is a big question balancing romance and work life. Um, is one that like we have talked about before in person, and also just is something that is so relatable for women who are career and professionally oriented,
Mm-hmm.
who have big ambitions. Is you know, it often feels like we need to juggle two identities. I don't know if you ever feel like that, because in your professional life you're strong and you're leading, and in your romantic life you could be like that, but sometimes like we don't want to have that same energy in our relationships.
Yeah, or you want to be taken care of.
So I pulled 6 cards for you. The first card I drew was Metamorphosis. So this is like relating to your past. So the past influence. Butterflies earn their wings through great effort. The process of change is often painful, for it is never without losses and sacrifices. If you are to transform from one form to another, a part of you needs to die.
Mm.
What does that remind you of?
So at the end of last year, I have a friend who does tarot cards, and so the card I got was death, and it wasn't anything
Interesting.
ominous, but death was like the end of a chapter. And she's like, Tiffany, given where you are right now, it actually like totally makes sense. So
Hmm.
I think that
This
that
is
is kind of,
reflecting that too.
yeah, like needing to just like continue to shed.
Hmm. And I like that you just said that, because the next paragraph says, letting go isn't easy,
Mm,
especially when you're used to thinking a certain way about your life and how you live it.
mm.
Do you feel like you have finished shedding, or do you think you're still in the process?
I think that so my belief about these romantic interests who come into my life is that they're all lessons. In terms of the shedding, I think part of it is like not just like perhaps not like shedding and forgetting them, but also just acknowledging the impact that they did have on my lives when they were in my life.
Right. This card is just a reflection of your, maybe the present point of vantage. And That's the Stormfields card. And one of the reasons I chose this deck is actually it has two different definitions based on whether it's upright or reversed. So the Stormfields card, this too shall pass. Now is not the time to engage in any activity that brings unwanted chaos or drama into your life. This kind of storm can be destructive and you'll regret your actions later. Hurtful words will be carried on the wind and bring a tornado of betrayal, anger, and unnecessary angst. I feel like that reflects exactly what you were talking about at the beginning, you know, with this recent guy. Maybe, I don't know, have you been feeling that, like, with the coronavirus and everything, like now is not the time to like keep ongoing with dating and stuff?
I don't know. I mean, I'm like on the apps and I'm chatting with people, and a lot of people are like really open to doing like FaceTime dates and stuff. Um, but what you read actually really reminds me of, does really remind me of some interactions that probably shouldn't have happened between me and a potential romantic interest. I do like the idea of like not really engaging in anything super dramatic right now.
The next card is what you resist, and potentially confronting and doing what you're resisting can, you know, help you in this situation. So the next one is the magic prayer. When you see the magic prayer card, it's a reminder that your prayers will be answered. Spirit is always waiting to help you and to heal you.
One of my other words, I haven't quite figured out what it's going to mean for me, is this word surrender.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually, so when I went to Kilimanjaro, you know, you'll ask everyone in your group, like, why did you decide to go? I had a great conversation with someone around surrender and my desire to kind of tap into inner child Tiffany. And one of the things that happened on the mountain, so you're pretty much just like stripped of everything. It's very difficult. The only thing you can think about is, you know, how can I have enough energy to lift my leg to take that next step? And I had this beautiful moment on summit day where I literally, like, I thought I was going to pass out, but I started thinking about my dad. And my dad is the one who took me out on bike rides in humid DC summers. He's the one who always wanted to go for walks and go hiking and swimming and do stuff outside. And after he passed away when I was 9, I just stopped doing active stuff. And I had this moment on the mountain where I just realized that it was my dad who gave me my sense of adventure. And when I was on the mountain, it was all in memoriam, like the memories, the pleasant things. And I think I had been holding so much to this idea that like I was angry at him. He caused all this pain in my family, but to just let go a little bit. Maybe he's part of my higher power, but I just saw other things that came in that made me rewire my story and my relationship with him.
Yeah, you surrender or flow. You know, this whole idea of what the card is saying is like, just ask for what you want. You may not get that, but you'll get what you need. So the next card is unexpected help, and that's the wishing well. Desire is the sacred impulse for life. Feel it, but let go of all attachment to ownership. So this is now the second time that they're saying, like, don't get attached to what you want. Don't run after what you want. Stay still and you'll get what you need. So let's see. This is not the time to force anything to happen in your life, especially whatever seems to be eluding you. You can't demand that the universe provide you with what you want. So crazy that it's like saying the similar thing to the other card. Unmet desires can burst into a destructive fire of obsession. So step back, breathe, and take your attention away from what you want. Ask instead for what you need. You can't make this up. So it's basically saying what you resist is like really leaning into this meditation flow surrender thing.
Yeah.
And that's what's going to help you.
I'm liking these cards.
Yeah, me too. I think you'll like the next one too. So the next one is the next right action. And
Mm-hmm.
it makes a lot of sense. It's the compass card.
Mm-hmm.
So as long as you orient your compass towards true north, the direction of your higher power, you will never be lost. You are entering uncharted territories right now and can expect wonderful new experiences. To stay on the highest path of your destiny, you'll need to keep your compass pointed to true north. Only spirit or a higher power can serve this function. Money, property, prestige, romance, and other material achievements can't help you find your true path. They are simply things you may experience along the journey.
I mean,
What
in
is like the advice you're hearing through that
well, the advice I'm hearing is that maybe I shouldn't be as intentional about dating
right now?
right now. Yeah.
Sometimes it's okay to approach dating like, I just want to get to know people, and if I want to talk to this guy one more time, or if I want to hang out with this guy one more time, and not, do I want to marry this guy?
Yeah.
Like, right, can I see him being the father of my baby? Like, sometimes we just get too far ahead.
I mean, I think about my last two relationships and they both kind of happened pretty unexpectedly. And so it's almost like when I wasn't looking, then it happened.
If I were to be interpreting what the next right action is, or the suggestion, we've already talked about some, like keep up with your meditation, keep up with your mindfulness practices. Think about just like, how can I start my days slower? How can I, you know, practice different self-care, self-intentions and gratitude and blah, blah. And maybe just like with the compass card, it's like reminding yourself why you do what you do
Mm.
and like what you're living for. I
Um,
wish for you the confidence to be like, under no uncertain terms will I compromise my mission and goals for a man right now. Like, if I find a man that fits into this,
yeah.
amazing. So your last card, I think, really ties a bow on all this. It's the movement card, and it was reversed. So I'm sure you can start to get an idea of what it meant. And it's just really interesting that I pulled this one. So, do you feel as if you're walking in circles, seemingly not getting anywhere? Consider the spiral that travels up and around. 2 steps forward, 5 steps back, even backward movement helps you progress and reach your goal. You may need to revisit some of the places where you forgot to look for treasure. The question I have for you is like, you've done a lot of inner work, and I'm wondering if some of these cards about going into meditation, slowing down, reconnecting with your compass, your North Star, if it feels like you repeating lessons and exercises that you've done in the past.
Yeah. So in 2019 I made a vision board for the year. It was my first time actually making a vision board. And everything on the board actually manifested. So in 2020, I decided I was going to make one again. Now it's like double the size. But actually, there's a part of the vision board that has the words like encore or like more of this. And it's kind of talking about how much growth, how much personal growth I had in 2019 and how I wanted to continue that. And so I think what all of that is telling me is like, just continue to do that work on yourself. It's helpful that these cards are all saying that to like continue to do that work inward, and then the outward stuff will manifest.